In a small mountain town in Guatemala, a woman named Ada Violeta Chuk keeps an altar in her home. On the wall behind it, 7 photos. 4 of them died of cancer. She could not afford the drug that might have saved them. That drug exists. It works. Right now, but here is sitting in a warehouse. It is sitting in a warehouse in 37 countries, waiting to be bought. It is called Keytruda, and it costs $210,000 a year. Keytruda, known generically as pembrolizumab, works by weaponizing a patient's own immune system against cancer cells. Unlike chemotherapy, which poisons everything rapidly dividing in your body, Keytruda is smarter. It removes the shield that tumors use to hide from your immune system. Your own body does the rest. The FDA approved it in 2014 to treat advanced melanoma, the most aggressive form of skin cancer. Since then, it has been cleared for 19 different types of tumors: lung cancer, kidney cancer, triple-negative breast cancer, and more. For millions of patients, it is not just a treatment. It is the difference between life and death. Since 2014, Merck, the American pharmaceutical giant that makes Keytruda, has made approximately $163 billion in sales from this single drug. In 2025 alone, Keytruda generated $31.7 billion, nearly half of Merck's entire revenue. This is the world's best-selling drug, and the company behind it has done everything in its power to make sure it stays that way, at whatever cost, to the patients who need it. Here is where this story gets dark. A single 100 vial costs $850 in Indonesia. In the United States, that exact same vial, same drug, 7 times the price. In Germany, list prices range from about $80,000 in Lebanon. We see $130,000 in Colombia, while it is $65,000 here, and as high as $208,000 in the United States. Under the Trump administration, that US price has now increased further to $210,000 a year, a 6% increase. While Merck was publicly shaking hands with the president on drug price reform. Just days before Christmas 2025, the CEOs of 9 pharmaceutical companies stood awkwardly in the Roosevelt Room of the White House, tapping their feet, drumming their fingers, waiting for President Trump. They had all struck deals to slash prices on some drugs. But Keytruda, when ICIJ reporters asked Merck directly whether Keytruda in the deal, he refused to answer. We cannot disclose the details of this confidential agreement. So how does one company keep a drug this expensive for this long without competition? The answer is patents. But not just a few. ICIJ investigators found at least 1,012 patent applications linked to Keytruda across 53 countries and regions. Keytruda's original patents are set to expire in 2028, but Merck has continued filing secondary patents, what critics call a patent thicket, that could extend their monopoly in the United States until at least 2042. That is 14 extra years of no competition. 14 extra years at $210,000 per patient per year. Merck also lobbied aggressively to avoid negotiating Keytruda's price with Medicare, the U.S. government insurance program for elderly and disabled Americans. In July 2026, a U.S. senator wrote directly to Merck's CEO, accusing the company of filing excessive patents to extend monopolies and keep affordable versions of the drug out of reach, calling it anti-competitive and demanding answers. Merck's public response? They called it a common myth that pharmaceutical companies game the patent system. When a drug costs $210,000 and your insurance won't cover it, what do you do? In many countries around the world, has become you go to court. Data analyzed by ICIJ shows that health and legal systems are increasingly intertwined. In Latin America especially, where Keytruda is often accessed only through a court order. Cancer patients, already sick, already exhausted, are forced to become their own lawyers, filing petitions, waiting for hearings. Some patients die waiting. As bureaucratic fights to access Keytruda drag on for years, some never make it to the end of the legal process. In Austria, Merck's subsidiary has taken journalists to the Constitutional Court, fighting to stop the public from finding out how much Austrian hospitals actually pay for the drug. Keytruda is Austria's single largest hospital medication expense. Estimated payments based on list price reached 245 million euros in 2024 alone, and over 900 million euros from 2024. Think about that. A single drug, nearly €1 billion, from one country, in 4 years. And the public is not allowed to know the actual price, the part of this story that most people don't know. When a life-saving drug becomes unaffordable, people don't just give up. They find another way. Desperate patients and hospitals have become unwitting customers of fake Keytruda, with potentially fatal consequences. Where counterfeit Keytruda was supplied directly to hospitals. Merck confirmed that a patient died after being infused with it. In India, where a single vial costs around $1,800, already unaffordable for most families, investigators found a flourishing black market driven entirely gap between price and need. This is what a $210,000 price tag creates: a shadow economy of desperation, fake drugs, dying patients, and a company still reporting black market profits. New research presented at the American Society of Clinical Oncology's annual conference found that patients are receiving more Keytruda than they actually need, and that smaller doses work just as well. One study estimated that by lowering doses, global health costs could be cut by more than $30 billion annually. By lowering the dose, we can expand access by 50 to 60%, said Kumar Prabhash, an oncologist at Tata Memorial Hospital in Mumbai. So why hasn't Merck lowered the dose? One cancer specialist found that Keytruda can work at 25%, but Merck switched from a weight-based dosing model to a higher fixed dose. But here is the part of this story that most people don't know. A change that dramatically increases revenue. Merck says current doses are based on data. The oncologists say the data says otherwise. Since 2014, Keytruda has reached more than 3 million patients. How many famileta chooks? Not because the medicine didn't exist, but because someone decided the price of a human life was a negotiable number and set it at $210,000. A year-long investigation by 100 journalists across 37 countries found the answer. It isn't a medical problem. It isn't a science problem. It's a choice.